Rubber burning engine screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafting on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning.
Woo! Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rumble here again this evening with the Hypershift Racing League is race number 2 of the Noble American.com playoffs here for this season. Each and every one of these drivers hoping to try to put themselves up and into victory lane as we got 134 laps of racing action here from Kentucky Speedway. As 213 Simware coming in with the like and the broadcast. Hypershift Racing League with that thumbs up here as well. As 213 Simware says, good luck, everyone. Kel says, let's go. Let's get this win. Dalton Wicker, you got this. We are all rooting for you. Let's go. Kel coming in, showing the love here in this one as we get all these drivers ready to rumble, ready to roll out onto the racetrack as it is Michael Carter who will start in the pole position. So Carter starting in the top spot here this evening. We'll start from that hole here in this feature event, starting in position number 2 in that Noble American number 7 ride. It is Chase Abel. Abel will start there in second. Anthony Ludi will start back in third with Daryl Johnson starting in position number 4 for that number 4 ride. Jack Simpson in attendance here tonight as the RaceEPI.com number 24 ride will start there in 5th. Al Likens back in 6th. Michael Sheffield will start in position number 7. And then we do see the number 94 ride of Adam Boughton. Dalton Wicker back there in 9th. Gage Wenzel looks like he's going to start in position number 10. Jeremiah Nelson, Jonathan Cogswell are top 12. And then we see Max Cost and Aaron Spear back in row number 7. Row number 8 will be Gavin Grubbs on the inside. In the 8, Kent Mueller to the outside. Drew King will start in 17th with Jaden Newson back there in position number 18. It's Dylan Picklesheimer back there in the Monster Energy Toyota will start in the 19th position. And unfortunately doesn't look like JJ Moore has rolled out onto the racetrack here to start this feature event, so he may have to start from pit road here today, as we'll get them all stacked up, all racked up, and ready to get after it here in this one. As Stephanie Hunt says, let's go, Gage. Do what you did all season and dominate. Win this championship, she says. As Sean O'Keefe says, go fast, 36. Get him, get him. Emma in the chat as well says, let's go Gage, cheering on Mr. Wenzel here this evening, as Wenzel will start back in that 10th position. We'll have to wait and see if he can navigate his way up towards the front of the field, as each and every one of these drivers are hoping that they can find their ticket into victory lane here tonight, as Michael Carter, Chase Abel gonna get ready to bring us to the green flag here in this one, and the fun is just about to get started. The fun is just about to get underway here tonight, as these drivers look to put on another absolutely amazing show for us here this evening, as the Hypershift Racing League back in action. They were off last Thursday, but they are back here tonight, and we got about, I think there's 3 races left to go in the season. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, so for any of the drivers that are in our playoffs, 4 races left after tonight. So 4 races left, and each and every one of them going to be hoping to try to find their way into victory lane, obviously looking to try to pick up big wins, big points, trying to put themselves into a position where, you know, maybe they can stretch out a little bit of a points lead, try to open up maybe a bit of a gap between themselves and the drivers behind them, or potentially trying to just stay alive, try to keep themselves in contention, try to keep themselves right there in the battle. As here we go, back to green flag racing, as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation, as the NobleAmerican.com 200 underway here this evening from Kentucky Speedway, as Michael Carter, Chase Abel 1 and 2 out there on the speedways. They're back 3 wide there for position number 3. Already going 3 wide racing here at Kentucky, as the 24 of Jack Simpson down low is going to pick up 2 spots here in the opening lap, and he'll jump up and into that 3rd position. Daryl Johnson, Al Likens looking to move forward, as Anthony Ludi unfortunately falls back about 3 spots here. Kind of got shoved into the middle there. Obviously a tough spot, rolled out of the throttle, lost a couple extra spots right there, and unfortunately for Ludi, now sits back in position number 6. Dalton Wicker up a couple spots early on. Here he is in that 7th spot, trying to hold off the 1 ride of Michael Sheffield. The Sheffield trying to get back around him. Here comes Jeremiah Nelson and Max Cost as well, as Gage Wenzel slides back into the 11th position. But this is going to be a race of nutrition. It's going to be a race of just trying to keep yourself pointing in the right direction, keep yourself out of trouble, and obviously tires, fuel, going to be a factor like every single race here in our NASCAR series. Is you gotta be careful. You don't want to burn up your stuff too early. If you can, to take it a little easy early on, you can try to pick up all those spots that you lost later in the run. And obviously we'll see these guys probably going about 35-40 laps or so before we go to pit road, somewhere around that area, biting out if we get a caution flag early on or anything else. We may see some takers, some drivers try to mix things up with that fuel strategy, and then there's going to be some drivers that may try to play it a little bit early, maybe a little bit later, but if you can kind of make it to that 40 lap area, that really makes it just a 3-stop pit race here this evening. If you can even go a little farther, maybe you can even stretch it into a 2-stop race. And we've seen these guys go clean and green for the entire event before. They may be able to do it again here tonight. So making sure that you're down pit road, making great pit stops, not getting caught speeding, as that could definitely take you out of contention in a quick hurry. If you get caught speeding down pit road, or you miss your pit stall and you got to put it in reverse, anything that could potentially cost you time could send you back deep in this field in a quick hurry. Is out in front, it's Michael Carter. Carter continues to lead the way here all 5 laps to start this feature event. It's been the 18 machine as the Prime Gaming ride out in front, just trying to continue to pull away from everybody else. Chase Abel right there in second, holding off Jack Simpson, but Simpson looking down to his inside. Jack Simpson wants to try to move up into position number 2. He wants to go for this race lead, as Al Likens there in position number 4, and he continues to look for more, as Anthony Ludi trying to battle his way back up towards the front here. Started in position number 3, slid back to about that 6th spot, now makes the move back around this number 77 ride of Dalton Wicker. Wicker unfortunately falls back into position number 6 after joining our top 5 there for a short period of time. But look at these drivers, man. This is a big gaggle of cars, 2 wide, still banging and beating out there on the racetrack. They're all trying to inch their way forward here on the Speedway is Corey Denk. What's good, Corey? Corey coming in showing the love says, what's good, Aaron? Should be exciting tonight. Wish I could be out there. Corey, we wish we had your Tiny Toes ride out there. I'm sure Dalton wish you were out there as well. I know he would definitely like some extra support, maybe an extra teammate out there to help that Tiny Toes team maybe find victory lane here in Kentucky, as we did see Wicker pick up the win in the first race of the season. Now let me take a look at our point standings, and as of right now, Wicker does have the points lead here over everyone else. All of our other championship drivers, they are being led right now by that number, 77 rides. So Wicker has the points lead. Adam Belton about 7 points behind him. 8 points back. We do see the I do believe it is the number 9 ride of Al Likens. Gage Wenzel sits about 9 points back of our points leader, and then it goes down a little bit more, and a little bit more to where you start to see drivers like Dylan Picklesheimer, who's back, 30 points or so. Corey Denk, he's back a bunch of points. Obviously not out there on the racetrack. Chase Abel, who did not have a great run, he's back in about, and he's almost about 34 points back, I do believe, and Max Cost also quite a ways back there. Jack Simpson, who did not race last week, unfortunately, he's back even farther. So for a lot of these drivers that are in our playoffs, they need a really big run. They need a great race and hope that they can see potentially Wicker, Boughton, Al Lincoln, some of those guys maybe struggle a little bit here tonight, where they can start to claw away at that points gap, start to run towards them, try to find that extra little bit and close that gap up. As when we go to some of these racetracks, it could be just a make or break. When we look at the schedule next week, we head to Talladega Super Speedway. Now, Talladega could be a very, very big wild card kind of a race. That's a race that you can get tore up, you can get tied up, and you could be out of a race rather quickly. And if you're one of our playoff drivers, that's going to be one of those races that kind of scares you a little bit when you head there, because you just don't know if you're going to get tied up in a couple incidences and have a bad night. It may be none of your control. It may not be anything you can do. So when it comes to these mile-and-a-half racetracks, when we went to Kansas last week, you got to make the best of it. When you come to Kentucky, Texas, Phoenix, and then obviously our championship race at Auto Club, you just got to hope that you can build as much points there and just kind of chalk Talladega up as potentially a big loss. And even for some of those drivers that missed out last week and that weren't here or had a bad run in that first race, or even here tonight, when we look at Corey Denk, you have a night where you can't make it to the track, you can't be out there on the speedway. When you go to Talladega, if you can have a big run, a great race, and some of these other guys have issues, it could still put you kind of right back to somewhat of a level playing field with those drivers. Even though you may give up 20 or 30 points here tonight by not being here, you may be able to gain those 20 or 30 points next week at Talladega if we see some early exits there at the Super Speedway. So you just got to keep those kind of in the back of your mind, knowing that you have opportunities, you have chances, and there's still 4 races left, that if you come in and you dominate, you put in good runs, you could potentially work yourself up and into a very, very solid finish here for the championship, maybe even have a shot at winning the championship when it comes to Auto Club Speedway here late in the season. As Michael continues to lead this race. Michael out in front with Jack Simpson. They're in position number 2. Al Likens back in third with Chase Abels now into position number 4. Anthony Ludi there in 5th. He's looking to try to keep on moving forward as he's reeling in that 7 ride in a quick hurry. Now there's a bit of a gap between himself and Dalton Wicker, our 5th and 6th place drivers. About 8-9 car lengths. It's about 9/10 of a second out there on the racetrack between Anthony Ludi and Dalton Wicker here this evening. Max Cost sits there in 7th. Darrell Johnson having a great run in position number 8 after falling back 4 spots early on in this race to be still right here battling hard inside the top 10. Heck of a run so far for Mr. Johnson, as Jeremiah Nelson there in 9th. Gage Wenzel back up inside the top 10 as the Tom's Tasty Taters and Walleye Fish Fish Sandwiches Chevrolet rolls there in that 10th position. Jonathan Cogswell, Michael Sheffield, they're in 11th and 12th. Dylan Picklesheimer, who started at the back of the pack, now up 6 positions and rolls in that 13th spot on the Speedway. He's got Gavin Grubbs right there behind him, Aaron Spear back there in 15th, and then we see Kent Mueller, Drew King, Jaden Newson, and the 94 ride of Adam Boughton. Evo early on here having a bit of a rough go. I'm not sure if this is part of the strategy or if he may have ran into an issue. Nonetheless, for the 94 ride of Adam Boughton, he is quite a ways back here. He is already 17 seconds behind our race leaders. And to give you a comparison about where that is on the racetrack, here he is just down across the line. Our race leaders are heading into corner number 3, so he is less than half a track away from potentially going a lap down. And for one of our playoff drivers, the second driver in our point standings coming into Kentucky here this evening, to have a rough go early on and seeing this stay clean and green, that just definitely puts you into a tough position where it's going to be very, very hard to try to rebound from that. It's going to be very hard without a yellow flag to gain that track position back, and it may stick him back there quite a ways here throughout this feature event, and unless we see that yellow flag fly. If we catch a yellow, that will get him back to the rear of the field. That will give him an opportunity to try to battle his way back up towards the front of the pack here and hope to get some good points on the evening. As Anna Alessandro, what's good, Anna? Anna coming in, showing the love, says Peacemaker. What's up? What's up, Anna? How are you? How you doing this evening? Good to see you up in the chat. Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. As out in front, it's Michael Carter who continues to lead this race down through quarter number 3. Nice and easy for the Prime Gaming 213 Simware number 18 ride as he heads out of 4, back down across the line. He'll lead our first 20 laps of this race. So 20 laps down, still 110 laps left to go. There's still a lot of racing, still a lot of time to shine out there on the speedway and trying to work yourself into potentially a win or just a solid run here this evening. But for Michael Carter, he's trying to play that devil's advocate here this evening, trying to be one of our non-playoff drivers here to be able to jump up and potentially win this race. We do see a couple of our playoff cars back there behind him. Jack Simpson there in second, Al Likens in third, Ludi back in position number 4 now as he's able to work his way around Chase Abel. Unfortunately, Abel starting to fall back here a bit. He's starting to fall farther and farther behind, and unfortunately for the 7 ride, now sits in that 5th position is Dalton Wicker in position number 6. He's just trying to hang on to it here as he's got Jeremiah Nelson, Max Koss, Gage Wenzel all right there on his back bumper as Daryl Johnson slides back into that 10th position on the racetrack. And it says, great day, Anna. I absolutely love that. Anna. And hey, listen, I saw your comment yesterday. Hardware stores, man, I love going to the hardware store. I mean, I do construction and everything else, so I'm there quite often. And I used to work at a hardware store up here in Canada, so we weren't on the inside, but we were on the outside of the lumber yard, man. And yeah, that was always great, meeting new people and learning about some of the projects or some of the cool things that they're doing and everything else, man. And then just having those personal relationships with some of the guys from around town and some of the construction guys that I know now and that maybe I work with now. It's really, really cool. It's a really cool thing, and the hardware store always a lot of fun. As Michael Carter just on a mission here this evening, 0.6 of a second between himself and Jack Simpson. Simpson still just trying to keep on reeling him in, hoping to try to find a little bit of a speed here and there, trying to find a little bit that he can reel in that 18 ride, but he's also going to be very careful with that 9 ride of Al Likens right there behind him. Likens will definitely take advantage of making a move and trying to steal position number 2 away from the 24 machine. So if he slips up, if he makes a mistake, if he pushes that car too far, the 9 ride will be right there to pounce, and then Michael Carter could potentially even open up that race lead more and more as Carter seems to be quite a bit better in corner 3 and 4 than Jack Simpson. And a lot of these drivers, 1 and 2, he tends to give a little bit back, but he's continuing to try to pull out in front, continue to try to open up that race lead and pull away from everyone else. As so far, some great racing here in this one as Nathan's Corn Dog Racing became a follower over there on Facebook. Nathan's Corn Dogs, the Corn Dog Racing team, welcome to the Peacemaker family. Welcome in, and can't thank you enough for becoming a brand new member of the Peacemaker family here this evening. As ladies and gentlemen, be like Nathan's Corn Dogs right now. Hit that gosh heck and follow button. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching over on YouTube and you haven't already. And make sure you turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go live here on Peacemaker Gaming. Even if your favorite driver's not out there on the racetrack, it helps us out a ton if you guys could just pop in, watch a couple of our other races throughout the week. Just watch for a minute or two, say hello, ask me how my day went, you know, have a little conversation in the chat for a second or two. It really, really helps the stream continue to grow each and every single week, so that way we can bring more fans into the stands and continue to watch our amazing drivers not only on Thursday nights here with the Hypershift Racing League, but through all of our other series as well. As every single like, comment, share, new subscriber, new follower continues to, you know, bring in, you know, more and more eyes onto these amazing drivers and these amazing leagues that give us a home to race each and every single week. As Michael Carter out in front, Carter continues to lead the way. He's been out in front for all 28 laps here this evening, and he is looking to be that reflection of perfection here this evening. Won that pole position. He's led every single lap since the drop of the green flag, and he's hoping that he can stay out in front this entire time. But we should see maybe a couple drivers lead a few laps here, especially when we start to get into our green flag pit stops, which are probably around the corner here. Now 29 laps into this race, we're rolling closer and closer to that lap number 30, where we may start to see some drivers wanting to kind of split this race up in a little bit of a different strategy, try to run a little bit of a different gear out there on the speedway, and what these fuel mileages may entail for each and every one of these cars out there on the racetrack. Can they run only 30 laps? Can they do only 35 or 40 laps? That could really justify what their strategy may be. We don't know what it is. We will find out right there with you, but we'll break down each and every one of these strategies that these drivers could possibly do down pit road, because you can short pit here. You can come down a little bit early, even if you still got 5 laps or so of fuel, maybe even 10 laps of fuel left in your car. But if you hit a number that you kind of want to hit, that you want to use as a reference point, potentially you come down a little bit earlier than everybody else. You put on the fresher tires. You may have the faster car out there on the racetrack, and then you can use those fresh tires to try to leapfrog other cars out there on the racetrack. It could gain you, 4, 5, 6 seconds. All depends on how long they are out on the racetrack compared to you with the fresh tires. Now, you can leapfrog them, get in front of them, but as they come back down pit road, they make their pit stop. They'll be behind you now, but now they got the fresher tires. Now you give back a lot of time to them, so they can potentially make passes around you. But as you continue to run that strategy, continue to make those moves, it could potentially move you up closer to the front of the field. As we do see Al Likens, looks like Likens going to make that move finally around Jack Simpson. So Al Likens up and into position number 2, and Simpson slides back into 3rd. Anthony Ludi hanging on to position number 4. He continues to look for more as Jeremiah Nelson now inside the top 5. So Jeremiah Nelson able to work his way around Dalton Wicker into that 5th position, and now we see the 36 ride of Gage Wenzel. Wenzel continues to try to work his way up towards the front of the field as the 36 machine rolls now into that 6th position. Dalton Wicker slides back to 7th as Chase Abel now sits in position number 8. He's got Max Cost and Jonathan Cogswell right there behind him, rounding out our top 10. Darrell Johnson falls outside the top 10 here after what started out as a great run. Still having a fairly decent day. We'll have to see if Johnson can work his way back up inside the top 10 and finish this race off on a good note. Here this evening is Michael Sheffield, Dylan Picklesheimer back there in 13th. He's still trying to work his way up towards the top 10, and you're starting to see some of these drivers struggle a little bit. We're starting to see some drivers with about a second of tire fall off here. Some drivers still running about 0.8 of a second or so slower than what we were on our opening opening laps, but for a lot of these drivers, you know, you start to struggle. You start to run slower and slower lap times. The worse and worse these tires get. And the harder you are early on the run, the more you seem to struggle at the end because your car falls off quicker than the other drivers. Sometimes it is a small fall off. Sometimes you can hang on for as long as possible. And other times you can fall off a mountainside. And you could go from running super good, you could be running in a good position and having a great smile on your face, and then all of a sudden, you know, you send it into one corner, the tires do not stick, and you start to fall back like a rock. You start to sink throughout the field, and we could see that for a few of these drivers that are really starting to struggle now, that are really starting to fall back. As you look at Michael Sheffield, Picklesheimer, there are a couple of drivers that are running very slow lap times. Aaron Spear also running quite a bit slower than a lot of the cars inside our top 10, as we still see a few of them running into the 30.7s, the 30.8s. You look at Jeremiah Nelson, last time around ran a 30.6 second lap time. Now, a lot of these other drivers are running into the 31 seconds. That means they're giving up, you know, 3, 4, and, you know, tenths a second. That is a lot of time. And if you do that for, you know, 10, 15 laps at a time, that could definitely set you back far enough that you may not be able to rebound. You may not be able to get back into contention here, especially if we don't see a caution flag. As here we go, down and out of corner number 4 for Michael Carter with almost a 1 second lead between himself and Al Likens. The 18 ride leads lap number 38, and that means we're getting very close to lap number 40, and I think that's a big number for a lot of drivers. But being a 134 lap race, if you can make it to lap 45, I think that is the key to success here this evening. That means you would only have to pit twice here in this feature event, twice under the green flag conditions. You would have to come down pit road. Fuel would get fairly tight at the end. You could probably run to about lap 135 on that strategy, which would give you enough, but it would open up the door for a late race caution flag where potentially you may have to make a pit stop. You may have to come down pit road and put fuel into your race car if we start to head in to NASCAR overtime. But now we do see a few drivers starting to head down pit road. Here comes Michael Sheffield in the Higher Heroes USA #1 ride. So he's the first driver to come down pit side, looking to take advantage of, you know, an early pit stop here. We'll have to wait and see if potentially, you know, this strategy plays out for him. He's taking that gamble. He's taking that risk. It will pay dividends on the short term. On the long term, it'll definitely be worse for him, but we'll have to wait and see, as we do see Jeremiah Nelson trying to take over position number 4 from Anthony Ludi. Ludi trying to hang on to that 4th position, but the 20 ride has been running quite a bit quicker lap times than a lot of the drivers in front of him. Was able to reel in this 95 ride and now trying to pass him, but just cannot get it to roll out of corner number 4, and unfortunately will fall back in behind this 95 ride on the racetrack. But you do see Ludi rolling more of that middle here on the speedway, running that middle lane, trying to carry the speed and momentum down the straightaways, and they're both reeling in this 24 ride of Jack Simpson, and Simpson starting to see these guys come bigger and bigger into his rear view mirrors. We do see Dylan Picklesheimer. He's the second driver to make a green flag pit stop here this evening. So he comes down pit road on lap number 40. So for Picklesheimer, seems like he's planning to run potentially a 30 lap or 3 pit stop race here, pitting on lap 40, potentially back on lap 80, then having to pit again somewhere around lap number 120 potentially. We'll have to wait and see what that plays out, what that means for this 45 ride for Michael Sheffield, who came down pit road on lap 39. So far, though, the other 17 drivers out there on the racetrack, they have not come down pit road. They have not pitted yet, and we're now starting to roll into, lap 43 here on the racetrack for Michael Carter, and this is starting to get them towards that number that they could make this on a 2-stop cycle here throughout this feature event, especially if it's clean and green. If we get a cycle pit stop or a mid-cycle caution flag, definitely could open up that door for everyone to come back down pit side nonetheless, which could really throw a lot of the strategy out the window for these drivers. But for right now, you got to be thinking that there is going to be no caution flag. You've got to be thinking that this will stay clean and green. We will run all 134 laps without an issue, without a caution flag, where that will put you into a spot that you got to use the strategy. And down through corner number 3, nice and easy into corner number 4. And out of 4, our race leader in that 213 Simware Prime Gaming, the Amazon ride, Michael Carter will lead lap number 45. So 45 laps into this feature event, and now we're starting to see some more drivers come down pit road. I think they kind of hit their number. Now they're choosing to come down pit side, as here comes Max Cost, here comes Chase Abel, Adam Belton, Jaden Newson, all coming down pit side here to make their pit stops. So their first pit stops here on the evening starting to get underway. We'll have to wait and see if more drivers elect to come down pit side, or if they're just going to continue to run laps here, trying to run these cars dry and then try to make their green flag pit stop. So we may see them really start to extend the runs here, really trying to make sure that they're good on fuel for later in this race. As Gage Wenzel now down pit road, Gavin Grubbs, Daryl Johnson, Drew King all down pit side, and so far no issues, no penalties. Everyone has been good on pit road entry, everyone is good on pit road exit, and that really starts to open up the door here for some more of these drivers. As here comes our race leaders. Here we go. Here comes Michael Carter, here comes Al Likens, Anthony Ludi down pit side, Jeremiah Nelson also coming down pit road with them. So about 4 car backs here coming down pit road, and kind of everyone playing a little bit of a different strategy in a heartbreaker for Anthony Ludi. Ludi, we talked about it. You cannot make a mistake down pit road, and for one of our playoff drivers, the Adidas 95 ride, too fast entering pit road for the 95. He will get a hold. So he came down the same time as that 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson, the same as the 9 and the 18. You can see that they're all getting done their pit stops virtually at the same time. Unfortunately for the 95 ride, serving that penalty, he will stay down pit road. He will continue to sit here, I'm assuming, for probably a 30-second hold. It could be more. We'll have to wait and see. But you can already tell that the 24 ride, who ran an extra lap out there on the racetrack, is now down pit side getting his pit stop done. He may even beat the 95 ride out of pit road before he's released, before that black flag is cleared for this 95 machine. That will put him probably at least a lap down, if not more. As here we go. There we go. We do see the 24 ride gonna roll around him here, pitting a lap after the 95 ride. Now here comes Dalton Wicker, comes down pit road a couple laps after. Same with the 8 Kent Mueller, and unfortunately for that 95 of Anthony Ludi, finally able to get rolling, able to get back out on the racetrack. Now he just has to hope that this entire pit cycle rolls around, and that maybe we see a caution flag before anyone else goes a lap down, and that he can get himself back onto the lead lap. But I'm not sure if that will happen, because it's going to be very, very tough. We do see Michael Carter here. He was not too far away from potentially putting drivers like Jaden Newson and Adam Belton a lap down out on the racetrack. So if he does reel those guys in, if he can find that speed and potentially lap those drivers, that could put Anthony Ludi not into the lucky dog position, as Jaden Newson heads down into corner number 1. Our race leader in tow, just down across the start finish line, so about half a straightaway or so back behind that number 40 machine of Jaden Newson, and that could definitely hurt Anthony Ludi and his chances of getting even some decent points here this evening. Or if we don't see a caution flag at all, he is going to be trapped a lap down. You really cannot gain that much time back here, especially if you look at the difference between our race leader and that 95 ride. Considering he's a lap down, he's actually about 43 seconds behind our race leader here. So 43 seconds an entire lap and then some behind our race leader here this evening, as the 95 nice and easy down and out of corner number 4, back down across the line. Here's Carter down the back straightaway, so he's almost a lap and a half back here this evening. So we'll have to wait and see how the strategies play out, how these kind of different pit stops will play out for these drivers, as we talked about the early pit stops for Michael Sheffield and Dylan Picklesheimer. It moves the 1 ride of Michael Sheffield up and into the 5th position. The 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer, he now rolls in position number 6. Now the big question is going to be is that they have about 7, 8, 9 lap older tires than a lot of these drivers that are in front of them, that are back behind them, and as the run continues on, Their cars are going to get worse a lot quicker than these other drivers, and they may start to slide back farther and farther and farther. And especially when fuel starts to become maybe a bit of an issue, that could also open up that window as well, as we did see a lot of these guys roll to about lap 47, lap 49 for a couple of them. That really means that they're probably not going to come back down pit road until somewhere just past lap number 90, maybe even closer towards lap number 100 here this evening, knowing that they are going to be good on fuel. If they do go to NASCAR overtime, that they will have enough in their tank, but they can maybe try to make a little bit of a slower lap or a pit stop with potentially taking a little bit less fuel. You don't want to get too chaotic with that. You don't want to make a mistake in not putting enough gas in the car to get to the end. But if you can put only in, 40 laps of fuel instead of a 50-lap run of fuel, maybe that saves you a second, maybe a second and a half. Maybe that could be the difference maker between coming home in, fifth or a top 3 run out there on the racetrack. So we'll have to wait and see, as Michael Carter still virtually that reflection of perfection. Obviously did not lead about 2 laps or so, 2-3 laps there throughout the pit road cycle right there in the green flag cycle. So for the 18 ride, didn't lead those laps, but really he was still out in front leading all these drivers, and you can see the gap here between himself and the number 9 ride out on the racetrack, as he's got about 2 seconds, 2.1 seconds now between himself and the 9 machine of Al Likens on the racetrack, and it's a pretty good gap. It's a pretty sizable difference here between first and second. We look back at our third place driver, which is now Gage Wenzel. Wenzel jumps up into third here. He's 2 seconds back of Al Likens, 4 seconds back of our race leader, and does have 1 lap older tires than both the cars in front of him. The driver back behind him, Jack Simpson, has a couple lap better tires, and then obviously we run into Dylan Picklesheimer and Michael Sheffield there. They're already starting to feel some of that pain here potentially, as here comes Jeremiah Nelson able to work their way around him. We see Jonathan Cogswell right there. He's in the mix. Here comes Max Cost up there, the 12 rider Gavin Grubbs, who now rounds out our top 10, but they're reeling in to that number 1 and the 45 here in a quick hurry. Daryl Johnson back there in 11th. Dalton Wicker, who stayed out later there, was able to lead a lap or 2 for the 77 ride. The Tiny Toes machine, unfortunately, making that later pit stop there, staying out on the racetrack even longer for him and Kent Mueller. They fell off the pace quite a bit right there, and unfortunately, they have fallen back quite a ways, but they do have a little bit more fuel. They do got a little bit more tire than the cars in front of them, that they can try to use that to their advantage, try to close some gaps, maybe reel these guys in and start to work their way back up towards the top 10, maybe back inside the top 5 here this evening. But we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out, because there's so much strategy and so much game plan that goes into each and every one of these drivers, races, that you just never know how it may play out. But also, if a caution flag flies, if there is a yellow flag, how does that change the outcome of this race? Where does that put a lot of these drivers in their strategy? If it's too early, if they want to hang on, they don't want to use an extra set of tires up this soon after a green flag pit stop, then that could help them out. But for other drivers, if they do come down pit road and they do use a fresh set of tires and burn a set virtually out there on the racetrack, especially when you look back at that one of Mr. Michael Sheffield or the 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer. Now that we've ran 60 laps of green flag racing, they have virtually put already 21 laps onto their tires here, compared to a lot of these other drivers that only have that 15 or 10 laps of green flag racing. So it may be an easier decision for them to come down pit side and use that fresh set of tires, where the drivers that don't have as many laps, maybe they risk it for the brisket, stay out there, don't come down pit road, keep that track position. They may have a little bit older tire, but they at least have an extra set back behind pit wall for potentially later in this race. So there's a lot of different thought process that all these drivers are continuing to work their calculators, thinking about all these different outcomes or scenarios that could either very much hurt them or really help them here throughout this race into trying to make it to the checkered flag here tonight, as Michael Carter continues to lead the way. 60 42 laps completed here in this feature event, as these guys are having a great run here in this one. As Sean O'Keefe says, newsflash, the 36 will be going to the front. He's definitely up there. Kennard, how are you, Kennard? Kennard says that 18 got a rocket ship. Let's go. Yeah, the 18 ride is absolutely hooked up here this evening. So far has led virtually all 63 laps of this race. Has a 1.4-second lead, so he is giving up a little bit of time to Al Likens. Likens is reeling him in. He's been running a tenth or so quicker every lap and slowly but surely closing in on our race leader, but that could all be by design for Michael Carter. If Carter continues to just run, hit his marks, not really put himself into a bad position, and if he gives up some of that time, and once Al Likens potentially even catches him, potentially Likens burning his equipment up, will start to fall backwards, where Michael Carter can start to put his foot into the throttle a little bit more, use the tires that he's saving right now to pull back away from that 9 ride. So there's a lot of strategy going into this race. A lot of these drivers have the big picture in mind, and that is that checkered flag, the final lap. You can't win it here on lap number 65. You can only win it on lap 134, or potentially a little bit past that with NASCAR overtime, but we'll have to wait and see, as we are now done 65 laps of clean and green racing action, and we're reeling closer and closer and closer to the checkered flag here this evening, man. We're getting very close to potentially seeing the checkered flag come out here in a quick fashion tonight. Is obviously already almost about halfway into this feature event. We're reeling real close to that halfway marker here today, and for each and every one of these drivers, knowing that you're getting that close to seeing the halfway point, we're only 34 minutes into this race. We're only 34 minutes into this feature event since we took that green flag, and really only 42 minutes into this broadcast, because how quickly things have been moving here this evening. The caution flags are what tends to eat up a lot of the time and really slow these guys down, but if we don't see a caution flag, they can get through this race in a very quick hurry, and that's exactly what they are doing, as we are now officially halfway through this race, halfway in, halfway to go here this evening. And for Michael Carter, he pretty much led the entire first half of this race. Now he wants to make sure that he can lead the entire second half of this race as well, to try to put himself into victory lane, to try to pick up the win here this evening, as the 18 ride continues to roll at the front of the field, continues to keep these guys back there at bay. We'll have to keep a close eye on the gap between himself and that 9 ride of Al Likens, as Likens continues to try and reel him in, but so doesn't everybody else. Everybody is trying to hunt these guys down. Everyone is trying to catch up to the 18 ride, and now potentially lap traffic in front of him, which could slow him down even more, could help the 9 ride reel him in. And for Jaden Newson, obviously going a lap down out there on the racetrack, that is not a fun spot to be, and in doing so, potentially going a lap down for Anthony Ludi, that will take him out of the lucky dog position, and that could definitely be a major setback again for the 95 ride. He's just got to hope that a lot of other drivers potentially run into issues with potentially caution flags out there on the racetrack, or potentially see other drivers that are in our playoffs kind of get some black flags themselves, where that way he can at least minimize, the setback here this evening with that mistake out there on the racetrack, where either he can gain the positions and get back into the action, or potentially they lose a lot of positions, and it allows him to not lose as much points as he would, as Michael Carter continues to lead this race. It's a 1.3 second gap, so it's kind of stalled out right around that area. We thought Al Likens was going to continue to hunt him down, but it's kind of gotten balanced out, so I'm not sure if Michael Carter realized that Al Likens was starting to reel him in, and now has started to put the foot down here, started to run a little bit quicker lap times, but we are starting to see that the lap times are fairly even between Carter and Al Likens here the last few laps. And then obviously we do see Gage Wenzel trying to chip away at it, trying to reel his way back in there as they came out of pit road, as they got rolling again out there on the speedway. He was about 4 seconds back or so of our race leader. Unfortunately, it has grown to now about 4.8 seconds, so he hasn't really gained any time on Michael Carter, and now we're starting to see, obviously, Jeremiah Nelson and Jack Simpson right there with them. Now, Simpson, his 24-30 Motorsports teammate right there, both inside the top 5, both hoping to have some good runs. Maybe they can work together, start to draft a little bit, maybe get some big bumps in there to help keep each other kind of rolling up back towards the front of this field. As Jack Simpson rolls there in 5th, we do see Jonathan Cogswell. Great run here for Cogswell, especially during this green flag run. Obviously, during this second stint, was able to gain a few spots there down pit road. Continues to gain and look forward to keep on driving his way towards the top 5 as the 84 ride up 6 positions from where he started back in 12th. Now into position number 6, looking very, very strong. Gavin Grubbs, same case scenario for Grubbs. He's up 8 spots from where he started. And for our 7th place driver, the Discount Tire Ride continues to try to work his way closer to the point here. Now we look back at a couple of those drivers that came down pit road early. When you look at Dylan Picklesheimer and Michael Sheffield, they were able to leapfrog a lot of drivers. They were inside the top 5. They have since fallen out of the top 5 here. Now sit back at about the 8th and 9th position, which has gained them still a couple spots here on the racetrack. They've definitely gained a few positions, but they are at risk right now of potentially losing a couple more, as they do have Max Cost, Dalton Wicker, that 8 rider Kent Mueller. They're all right there on their back bumper, and they have a lot fresher tires than the 2 cars in front here. So for Picklesheimer and Sheffield, they're definitely at risk of potentially falling farther back in the pack out there on the speedways. Evan Monaghan, what's good? Evan coming in, showing the love with the like on the stream. What's good, Evan? Hopefully we're having yourself a wonderful Thursday. I'm super happy that it's Thursday. I am off work tomorrow. Thank goodness that we're off tomorrow, man. I was tuckered out. I got home this afternoon after work, and man, I took about a 3-hour nap there. It was glorious, man. It was glorious, and I cannot wait to go back to bed and be able to sleep in tomorrow morning, man. Gonna be so good, so good, and so good. Talking about so good. Look at these guys out on the racetrack, man. These guys have been just putting on a absolute clinic for us here tonight, man. 76 laps of nonstop green flag racing. No issues, no big mistakes other than the pit road penalty for that number 95 ride of Anthony Ludi, and that means these guys have been continuing to work. You know, just some great laps out there on the speedway, and keeping it clean and green just shows you the talent and skill level that these drivers have. As Evan says, I feel that. He says, work's been wild lately, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. And work sucks, man. Work sucks. Having to work for a living, it's not fun, man. It's not fun. It's not the best, you know. It's not the best, especially when, like, if you're in a line of, you know, blue-collar work like myself, you know, doing construction, doing concrete, you know, doing fences, decks, roofs, whatever it may be, you know, it's tough on the body, man, and it drains you, especially when you're out in the sun, you're in the heat all day. Man, it can really chew you up, man. And throughout the summertime and even in the spring when it was nice and warm, we had that long drought, not a lot of rain days or anything else, man. It can really beat you up in a quick hurry. And here we go. We start to see some of those drivers that we talked about that are on the older tires now starting to fall back even more. Unfortunately for the 45 and the 1 ride, their strategy, it worked out for a while. If they were able to catch a caution flag there, maybe they would have had that net gain and some good positions gained out there on the racetrack. But unfortunately, as this run continues to stay clean and green, they continue to fall back. We've already seen the 77 of Dalton Wicker able to get around both of them. Now we see Max Cost trying to jump up not only around the 1 of Sheffield, but also around that 45 of Dylan Picklesheimer, which will move Sheffield outside the top 10. It'll move Dylan Picklesheimer into the 10th position. But then you look back there, you got Kent Mueller, you got Daryl Johnson right there as well, trying to navigate their way around these drivers. And now they're 3 wide back here. This is for the 11th position. And unfortunately for Sheffield, he's up there on that extreme high side. He's not getting the best run, not in the preferred line. We'll see the 8 ride of Kent Mueller able to make that pass and get around him. So that does move Sheffield, unfortunately, back into about that 12th position. And it may go even farther back here with the 4 ride of Daryl Johnson if he can complete that that pass out on the racetrack. As Aaron Spear rolls there in that 14th position, it's Adam Boughton back there in the 15th spot. Now for Boughton, we saw him fall back to the rear of the field rather early in this race, and luckily enough, he's been able to run some really good lap times, had a great pit stop, and is able to continue to keep on rolling some good laps out there on the speedway. He's starting to navigate his way back up towards the top 10. He's rolling in that 15th position, so really for what looked to be a tough start to this race, he's at least gained 4 spots back here, and maybe, he's still got quite a bit of time here to try to collect a few more. If he can jump up and get into this battle just outside the top 10, maybe even get himself inside the top 10 and at least try to get as much as he can out of this race for where it started, because it didn't start very good at all for the 94 ride, but he's trying to make the best of it here for Boughton, and he'll look to continue to keep on battling it. Unfortunately for Jaden Newson has got a lap down, so has an Anthony Ludi. So Ludi, after that pit road mistake, the speeding down pit road for the 95 ride, no caution flags out there on the racetrack, no opportunities to get a wave around or a lucky dog, and unfortunately, he's not in line for the lucky dog as of right now. But he is only about 5-6 seconds back behind Jaden Newson. If he can pass that Jaden Newson car, that could potentially put him back into the lucky dog position, but then you got to worry about, in the next 10, 15 laps, 20 laps, where does it put Chase Abel and some of these other drivers? How close are they to potentially going a lap down, as they're about 17 seconds behind our race leader and just a little over half a lap back? So potentially one of those could run into an issue, go a lap down as well, and still keep that 95 ride in the non-lucky dog position. As here we go, we're starting to see the different drives here, the different pit stops in the pit cycles, as we do see Michael Sheffield now down pit road. So Sheffield comes down pit side. He was definitely hurting, definitely struggling, starting to fall back, had fallen back into about that 13th or 14th position on the racetrack. Finally elects to come down pit road here, makes his second green flag pit stop, and being, I think, 50 laps from the checkered flag now for this number 1 ride, pitting there on lap 84. Being 50 laps left in this race, we saw in that first run, drivers were only getting about to lap 49. We didn't see anyone run to lap number 50, so we'll have to wait and see if potentially he can make it the rest of the way, if he can make it to the checkered flag here without having to make a third pit stop. But if he's tight on fuel, he may have to come back down pit road. But we see this one ride just rolling down the apron, trying to get this car going here. He's got some left front damage as well, so it looks like he's gotten some issues here, and now we'll make another trip down pit road. Obviously was able to make that pit stop, but did not get that damage repaired, and unfortunately for that number 1 ride, that is a huge mistake. That really sets him back here in this feature event, and then now he's going to be back probably towards the bottom of the field here. Is now, here we go, we see Daryl Johnson. He'll be the next driver. Now this is quite a bit earlier here for Daryl Johnson to come down pit road. He was one of those drivers that ran to about lap 46 or so, so he's pitting about, I'm going to say, 8 laps sooner than I really thought he would be down pit road, but trying to make that short pit. Obviously, he feels he is good on fuel. He can make it to the end of this race. Doesn't have to make an additional pit stop here later in the game. So now he comes down pit road. He's going to get fuel. He's going to get tires. He's going to use that to try to leapfrog some drivers and hope that it can move him forward and try to gain some extra spots here for late in this race. Now we do see Dylan Picklesheimer. He's on that same game plan again. He'll make the early pit. He heads down to his pit stall. The crew will go to work, try to get this car fixed up, try to get him back out there on the racetrack in a quick hurry. So far, any of those drivers that have made the second green flag pit stop here this evening have not gotten a penalty or anything else, as Michael Carter continues to lead this race. Is nice and easy down into corner number 3 and down and out of corner number 4 for the 18 rider Michael Carter. He will lead lap number 90 here this evening, and now we are very close to probably seeing some more of these guys come down pit road. I feel we're going to see pretty much everyone back down pit side making their green flag pit stop inside the next 10 laps. So everyone should be coming down pit road, should be making their secondary green flag pit stops out there on the racetrack, as we do see Max Cost. He's the next driver to come down pit road and make this pit stop here this evening. So he heads down pit road, making this pit stop, looking and feeling fine out there on the racetrack, and we'll see where this kind of sets him up when he comes back out onto the speedway, where this may put him, whether it's forward or backwards, or if he's able to really gain a bunch of spots out there with this short pit. As you see the 45 ride to Dylan Picklesheimer. So Picklesheimer was able to make his pit stop, and unfortunately right now for this number 45, it seemed like it was maybe a little bit slower for how much he gave up. He is technically right now 2 laps down, but with the better tires, he's able to put the power down. He'll roll around our race leader, and this will at least put him 1 lap down here to that number 18 of Michael Carter. So now only being 1 lap down isn't too bad. As everyone else pits, it should put him back onto the lead lap, but that is definitely not a fun spot to be, especially if there was a caution flag. Getting trapped 2 laps down, it kind of takes you out of any lucky dog scenario. It really puts you into a tough spot. You can take maybe a wave around and hope that you can try to get that 1 lap back, but you're still trapped a lap down, and that is not a fun place to be. So here we go. Michael Carter, our race leader, heads down pit side here on the completion of lap number 93. So Michael Carter down pit road. Here comes Gage Wenzel. Here comes Jonathan Cogswell, Gavin Grubbs, Dalton Wicker, all down pit road. We did see Adam Belton also already hit pit side as well in that 94 ride. So more and more drivers, they know they're good on fuel. They have virtually a 40-lap run from this moment. So if they come down pit road, all they got to do is run another 40-lap stint, and they will be good to go. They can make it to the end of the race without having to make an additional pit stop here this evening, biting potentially trying to get damage repairs or trying to just get some different runs. And we do see another set of drivers come down pit road, including Al Likens and Jeremiah Nelson. And Jeremiah Nelson gets hit with a black flag. Pit road speeding penalty for the 20 ride of Jeremiah Nelson. Now misses his pit stall there as well. The crew will go to work. Unfortunately, we'll see the exact same thing as we saw with the 95 ride of Anthony Ludi. And with the black flag, he'll get held down pit road and have to sit there in his pit stall. This is not a fun spot to be. You're going to give up a lot of time, probably go at least a lap down, if not even more, out there on the racetrack. And unfortunately for Jeremiah Nelson, this may potentially take him out of any contention for a good run. We saw him up inside the top 5, having a solid performance here this evening in that Toyota Camry number 20 ride. Now this will take him probably easily outside the top 15 here tonight. Biting, we see some caution flags. Now a mistake for the 34, Drew King. Misses his pit stall right there. Has to throw it in reverse. That will cost him a couple seconds out there on the racetrack. That will definitely cost him a couple positions as well, as we do see drivers roll back on the racetrack. We take a look at who was our race leader before these green flag pit stop kind of got back underway. And for Michael Carter, he's currently sitting in that 4th position, but you look at the gap between himself and Al Likens. This was 1st and 2nd coming down pit road here for these green flag pit stops. And Michael Carter only about 1.3 seconds in front of Al Likens. So Likens actually gained about 0.7 of a second. A lot better of a green flag pit stop there for that 9 run. And he really closes the gap here on the 18 of Michael Carter. We saw the 9 pushing it early on in that 2nd run. He was able to find quite a bit of speed. He was able to gain quite a bit of ground. Does he have enough here? Is he close enough that he can gain enough time to get to the back bumper of Michael Carter and maybe start to put some stress onto his back bumper? As we do see Jack Simpson down pit road, Aaron Spear down pit side, Kent Mueller finally comes down pit road in the DHL Express number 8 machine. So our final 3 drivers to make their green flag pit stops here in this one all head down pit road as Kent Mueller makes his pit stop, the final car on this pit cycle to make their pit stop, and could be potentially the final pit stop here in this race. It will give Michael Carter the race lead here once again, as down across the line they're going to be able to complete lap number 98. We inch closer and closer to that checkered flag here this evening as Michael Carter out in front. The gap is now about 0.7 of a second. So for the 9 run of Al Lincoln, using the fresh tires up early early here in this run again. He is closing the gap. He is going to be putting some pressure onto this 18 of Michael Carter. Carter, though, seems like he's saving a little bit. Not running as fast, not running as hard, trying to make sure that his tires last long in this run and that he can have a car late in this race to be able to compete and trying to win this race. So he's got the long game in mind. But for the 9 ride of Al Likens, he's got the short game in mind, and obviously if he can try to find a run and take this speed and the momentum and the strategy to put himself out in front, potentially the dirty air could put them into a winning situation. Just being out in front, being able to put the dirty air onto the hood of a car trying to pass you as late in the race, it may not be as easy for the 18 to maybe get back around Al Likens, and Likens looking to take advantage of that as he reels in our race leader, and this could be potentially the first time here this evening that we see Michael Carter get passed for the race lead out there on the speedway. So it's going to get right down to the nitty-gritty. We'll have to wait and see if Michael Carter tends to try to pick it up, maybe starts to use up the fresher tires a little bit more, trying to keep himself at the point, knowing that he wants to be just out in front and continue to be this reflection of perfection. And really no one other than the green flag cycles has passed this 18 right here this evening, and Al Likens looking to be the first driver to be able to complete a pass out on the racetrack to that 18 ride of Michael Carter this evening, and he is putting the pressure on him. He is getting the run. He is right there. He's only a car length back, and we are quickly running out of time here in this race. Almost about to be, 32 laps left to go here in this feature event as they click off lap 102 out there on the speedway. And Al Likens, he's trying to make it. He's trying to make this pass. He's got good tires, so maybe this is the time to strike. This is the time to try and give it everything you got to take this race lead. For Michael Carter, he's trying to put that dirty air on him, but unfortunately gets to the outside in a drag race down the back straightaway into corner number 3. Can Carter have a big run out of 4? I'm not sure if he'll be able to hang on to it, because here comes that 9 ride. He'll put the power down on the front straightaway, and it looks like for the first time here this evening, it will be the 9 ride of Al Likens who jumps out in front. So Al Likens takes that race lead away from the 18 of Michael Carter, and Al Likens now with the race lead has control of this race. He'll look to try to keep that 18 ride back there at bay and trying to drive his way up and in to victory lane here this evening. Is what a run for that number 9 ride in Al Likens, our new race leader here. Now with only 30 laps left to go in this race, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming crank it up. So what we want you guys to do right now is crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. Alrighty, give it up for all these drivers. A beautiful crank it up session as we continue to click the laps up here this evening. We get closer and closer to the checkered flag as there's only 15 laps left to go out there on the racetrack. 15 laps left to duke it out, and at the front of the field, it's the 9 ride of Al Likens. Likens continues to lead the way, but hanging right there with them, not going away, is that 18 of Michael Carter. Carter, after virtually leading the first 100 laps of this feature event, had lost the race lead to the 9 ride. Obviously, Al Likens being a little bit harder on the tires early in that run, burning them up, now has the track position, now has the race lead, and it seems like that car's starting to fall apart. It's starting to get a little bit slower. He's starting to feel the stress that he put on those tires early on, and he is starting to see this 18 ride once again get bigger and bigger into his rearview mirror, and he's got to be very, very careful because it may not be long, and that 18 ride might start to get smaller and smaller out of his front windshield. As here this evening, these guys have been putting on a great race for us. 120 laps so far of non-stop green flag racing. We haven't seen a caution flag. We really haven't seen an issue. The only issues that we have seen have been down pit road during our green flag pit stops, and it's put drivers like Anthony Ludi and Jeremiah Nelson a lap down here with those mistakes down pit road. Same with Michael Sheffield, who's now down and out of this race. Jaden Newson also a lap down, as Anthony Ludi is in the lucky dog position. If we could catch a caution flag, it could get him back onto the lead lap and back into the battle here this evening, but so far, no yellow flags, no issues here this evening, and unfortunately for the 95 ride, it may just be a tough run here this evening after a mistake down pit road. But for Al Likens, he has the race lead now. As we talked about him using those fresh tires up early in the run, he was able to use them. He was able to make the pass with fairly decent ease around the 18 of Michael Carter, who was trying to save tires for later in the run. But now as the tires are getting older, and obviously even with the 18 taking him easy, he's probably got better tires than this 9 ride of Al Likens. But for Al Likens, if he can continue to just put dirty air onto the nose of the 18 ride, it could be a very tough pass for Michael Carter to try to take this race lead back away, as our top two have opened up almost a 6-second lead advantage between themselves and our third place driver, Gage Wenzel. Wenzel has a battle of his own here as Jonathan Cogswell right there with him. Cogswell would love to try to jump up and steal position number 3 away from Gage Wenzel here this evening. Jack Simpson rounds out our top 5 in his RaceEPI.com 2430 machine there in that 5th position. Gavin Grubbs, a great run here for Gavin Grubbs in the discount tire number 12 as he rolls there in 6th. Dalton Wicker, the Tiny Toe 77, there in 7th. Adam Boughton, great rebound from early in this race, sits there in the 8th position with Max Cost and Kent Mueller rounding out our top 10 here this evening. So some absolutely amazing racing here between each and every one of these competitors, as Darrell Johnson back in 11th, just outside the top 10 looking in. Aaron Spear there in 12th. Dylan Picklesheimer sits in the 13th position as Chase Abel back behind him. Now Abel is about 6 seconds behind Picklesheimer, so a big gap there. And now we do see Drew King back at about 15th. Anthony Ludi a lap down there in 16th. Same with Jeremiah Nelson in 17th. Jaden Newson back in the 18th position. I do believe is now 2 laps down, or at least multiple laps down. Actually, he's about 6 laps down now for this 40 ride. Tough break there for Jaden Newson. And then Michael Sheffield, J.J. Moore also off the racetrack and no longer continuing here this evening. But we inch closer and closer to that checkered flag, and the battle out in front has not slowed down. It is still a tight fight here at the front of the field. After 127 laps of non-stop green flag racing, here comes Michael Carter looking to the inside, hoping to take a run down into corner number 3. He needs to get to the inside quarter panel of that 9 ride. Now we see a bit of a block there out of the 9 machine, obviously trying to play a little bit of that dirty air onto the 18 ride of Michael Carter, as Carter had that good run, got almost down to the inside quarter panel. That's what he needs to try to side draft down the straightaways, hoping to try to find that speed and find that lane that he's able to jump up and make this pass and steal the win away for what was a race that he virtually dominated the first 100 laps of this feature event. Since the 9 ride of Al Likens took the race lead over just after lap 102, it's been Al Likens at the front of the field. They've been virtually the only 2 drivers to lead, not during our green flag pit cycle. So for the 9 and the 18 ride, they have been the class of the field here this evening, and it's going to come right down to the wire with only 5 laps left to go here in this feature event. As Michael Carter got enough left in the tank. Does he have enough to try to jump up and make a pass and make a move to try to steal this win away from Al Likens, or can Likens hang on to it? Can he find a gear? Can he find a lane and just keep himself at the front of the pack here? Continue to use that dirty air to keep that 18 ride back there at bay, or can the Amazon Prime, Amazon Gaming, number 18 machine find his way back out in front? Was that pass? Was it being too easy on the tires early on, as he's right there? He's on the back bumper of this 9 ride, hoping to get a big run out of the corner. Unfortunately, ends up getting into the outside fence, just could not quite get to the inside of that 9 ride. And you see Likens, he's not necessarily running the inside lane. He's still trying to run a bit more of the middle, but he's kind of running in the middle of those 2 lines. If he can kind of keep running that lane, it really takes away any area for the 18 ride to get a big run, because it kind of cuts down right there in the middle of the corner, and it blocks the inside lane from moving forward, where he can't get to the inside of the 9 ride, and it continues to put dirty air onto the nose of the 18. He can try to use the middle lane. Unfortunately, the 9 ride can kind of block that as well. And then if he jumps up to the high side, will there be anything there? Will he be able to find a run there to that outside groove? Now you do see the 18 trying to get a big run down the straightaway, trying to size him up, trying to get a good run down into corner number 1, but it just continues to be more of the same. But we may see at some point in time here, maybe even on the final lap, a bit of a bump and run here. Could we potentially see a bump and run out of Michael Carter, as he's trying to get a little bit of a gap here? He's trying to build up some momentum, a little bit of speed. He knows time is running out, and maybe potentially use his stuff up, trying to make these passes, as he falls about 2/10 back, and we see the white flag fly. So 1 lap left here for Al Likens to try and capture tonight's checkered flag. Michael Carter's only got a couple more corners left to go here to try to get to his back bumper again. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll get there, as the 9 of Al Likens, for the final time here this evening, takes us down the back straightaway into corner number 3. Puts on a great run here, able to take that race lead away from Michael Carter, and out at corner number 4, winning race number 2 of our NobleAmerican.com playoffs. It's the 9 ride of Al Likens, who picks up the checkered flag here this evening at Kentucky Speedway. Likens able to get it done and win this race. What a run and what a drive there for the Mountain Dew machine, as he's able to steal the win away from Michael Carter. It's Gage Wetzel who comes home in 3rd, with Cogswell and Gavin Grubbs rounding out our top 5. Jack Simpson, Dalton Wicker, Adam Belton, Max Cost, and Kent Mueller are top 10 out there on the racetrack, but it's Al Likens who's able to pick up the dub and put this 9 ride up and into victory lane. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, jump into the comment section right now and cheer on this 9 ride as Al gets it done and claims the win here in the NobleAmerican.com 200 in our 2nd Hypershift Racing League playoff race. As the 9 ride captures the win, we'll get ready to pull him and the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth here for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up next, and we'll pull these drivers into the booth and, see what they're thinking, what's going through their mind right now. How are they feeling after a 134-lap feature event which saw 0 caution flags? We were clean and green the entire time, a testament of how talented each and every one of these drivers are, man. What a performance that they put on for us here in this one, as we'll get ready to pull Al and the rest of our top 3 up and into the booth here for their post-race interviews. Post-race interviews coming up next here, as we'll pull Al up and into the booth in just a second. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, says, what's the points difference for first, 3rd? I'm not sure on what the points look like. That's above my pay grade, Sean. I don't know what the points gap would look like there after the race, and how much points they actually earn throughout a race. I do know that Al was sitting 1 point ahead of Gage Wenzel, so I'm assuming he probably gained somewhere around 5 to 7 points, potentially more than Gage Wenzel, which would probably put him up about 7, 8, maybe 9 points ahead of him in the point standings. For Dalton Wicker and Al Likens, that's going to bring their battle very, very close to points. I think for Gage Wenzel, he'll be right there as well. So going into Talladega, I feel we're going to see probably our top 4, top 5 be very, very close on points. I feel like they're going to be all within probably 10 to 15 points for the top 4 or 5 drivers, and maybe even less, maybe like 3 or 4, maybe 5 points between our top 4 or 5. It's going to be very, very interesting to see, what those point standings are going to look like here in just a little bit, as we're going to get ready to pull Al Likens, our race winner, up here into the booth. Hey, Al, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Do you get a copy?
I do.
Al, man, what a run, what a drive, man. Take us through this one, as obviously you started a little bit farther back. Slowly but surely you work your way up towards the top, 3, top 4 there for a little bit after getting around Anthony Ludi. And then it's all about these green flag pit stops. You're able to time the first one pretty nicely. It puts you into position number 2. We see about 2 seconds back. You reel in the 18 ride by about 7/10 of a second, and they start to fall back again. And then it's all about this second run. Just after coming down pit side on lap number 93, you're able to reel him back in. You take advantage of the French tires as soon as possible, hunting him down and getting in front of him as he was trying to save tires for late in this race. Unfortunately, the tires were still bad enough, and the dirty air onto the nose of the 18 ride was just enough for you to hold him back there at bay. Even if he had better tires than you, he just could not find the run that he needed to try to steal this win back away from you here tonight, man. Take us through it and what's going through your mind right now as you get to celebrate down in victory lane.
18 had a hot rod, man. I was going to settle for second because I didn't think I had a chance, but I knew my opportunity to go hard after the last pit stop, and hopefully the tires held out and used the air to block him. But I appreciate him racing me clean, and this is my home track, so it's great to get a win here.
Absolutely. Hometown boy here at Kentucky Speedway, man. Obviously, we see 134 laps of nonstop green flag racing. 2 sets of those green flag pit stops where we saw a couple of drivers, get black flags, have those mistakes down pit road. That's definitely one of those things you just cannot have here in the playoffs, especially for our playoff competitors. And obviously we saw Ludi run into that issue, finishing deep in the pack and no caution flag, so no lucky dogs and no opportunities to really get himself back into this race. Take us kind of through those green flag pit stops and really what's going through your guys' mind, knowing that you just cannot have a costly mistake like that.
Yeah, me personally, I'm always cautious on pit road entry, and I normally lose time on entry, but I'd rather be just a little bit slower and get a speeding penalty, because once that happens, your race is over.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better to be safe than sorry out there on the racetrack. And here tonight, you played it safe, and you're definitely not sorry as you're able to work yourself up here into victory lane. You capture tonight's American Noble 200 win here at Kentucky Speedway, man. Al, who would you like to thank for such a great run and strong performance out there on the racetrack?
Yeah, first thing, I'd like to thank God, and second, family for able to do this, and slightly dangerous racing teammates, and obviously the league and the owners of the league, and what you do for broadcasting. Do a great job, and thank you all.
Absolutely, brother. Well, Al, heck of a run, heck of a drive here this evening, man. We can't wait to see you back in action from Talladega Super Speedway next Thursday night and potentially right back up here in Victory Lane.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your evening and don't party too hard down there in Victory Lane. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our race winner, Al Likens, as Likens picks up the dub and pulls the number 9 ride up and into victory lane, as we'll get ready now to pull in our second place finisher. It is the 18 ride of Michael Carter. Let's pull Michael up here into the booth. Hey, Michael, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Michael, man, heck of a run, a rocket ship here this evening. You lead virtually the first 102 laps of this race, and then after that final pit stop, it seemed like you were just trying to save some tires for late in this race. You kind of rolled out of it, and it allowed Al Likens to take advantage of his fresher tires to jump up, get around you, and then in turn steal this win away from you here tonight. We saw you back to his rear bumper, trying to find a way underneath of him. He was just able to kind of block those lanes, able to put the dirty air onto your nose, and with the 20, 30 lap older tires now on your car, obviously it was just too much. You just could not find the run you needed to be able to take advantage of the 9 run and get back to the point here this evening, man. Take us through it and what's going through your mind right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said. Pretty much once I gave up that lead, it was probably really game over. I was able to keep to his bumper, which was kind of a shock to me. I didn't think I would even be able to have a chance once I got that dirty air on the nose. But yeah, I felt like we were executing good all night. Not sure about my pit road entry and exit, if I gave up a little too much in those sequences too. But yeah, it was fun leading those laps, fun battling. But yeah, it stinks to lose one like that.
Yeah, absolutely. After dominating, first, 100 and so laps of this race, being out in front, just having such a strong car all evening long, to come home in second is definitely a heartbreaker here. But man, what a testament to your guys' talent out there on the racetrack. 134 laps of nonstop green flag racing, and just allowed you and Al to duke it out. The two cars that were virtually the class of the field here, whether it was, with Al through pit cycles, or, just being to have that pure speed out there on the racetrack, to not have the race get decided through yellow flags here late in this one.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a great battle out there. A bunch of great talented guys for sure.
Absolutely, you back it up here with a solid second place run here tonight, Michael, after a very, very good first 70-80% of this race. The second half not as much, but still you come home with a very good second place performance here tonight, man. A lot to look forward to when we head back to some more of these mile-and-a-half racetracks towards the end of the season. But obviously next week we head to Talladega. How do you feel heading into the Super Speedway next week and your chances of potentially being back up here in the broadcast booth and maybe putting yourself in the victory lane?
If we can get just a little bit of luck, I believe we'll be talking to you again.
Absolutely. Talladega, man, that is the key to it right there, is having that bit of luck out there on the racetrack. Unfortunately, here tonight, not lucky enough that Al's tires didn't fall off a little bit sooner, or a little bit more there to give yourself an opportunity to steal this win back away. But, man, Michael, hell of a performance here tonight. Who would you like to thank for a great run here in this one?
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate RMS, all the guys there and the team, and all the hard work they put in each and every week. Appreciate you in the broadcast booth. Anthony Ludy putting on a great group of guys here.
Absolutely, Michael. Great run, great race, man. And we look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack next Thursday night, and hopefully right back up here into the booth.
All right. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
You do. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for the 18 of Michael Carter, as Carter comes home with a very solid second place run. Obviously a disappointing one for a driver that dominated the first 102 laps or so of this race. To lose it there late in this one, man, so close to being able to take the race lead back away from Al Like. It just could not get it done and has to settle for a second place performance here this evening. As we'll get ready now to pull in our third place finisher here, the 36 of Gage Wenzel. Let's get ready to pull Gage up here into the booth after a solid performance and solid drive for this 36 machine. Hey Gage, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy.
Yes, sir.
Gage, man, another great run, another great drive for you here tonight as you're able to move forward, not rather quickly, obviously trying to play the tire game there early on. You fell back a couple of spots in the opening part, but you gain it all back up towards the top 5, top 6 there before that first set of green flag pit stops. And after those pit stops, you're able to join basically our top 3, and from that point on, you kind of just stayed right there in that third position for the rest of this race. You were kind of back about 4 seconds behind Michael Carter and Al Likens, and you just couldn't really seem to really gain that time back here, and even through that second wave of green flag pit stops, fell back another couple seconds, and you kind of just get to, kind of be on cruise control, but not quite on cruise control. You had that 84 Cogswell there late in the race, putting the pressure there to your back end.
Yeah, John put a lot of pressure there. The 20, he was racing me really hard in the middle stint. And we had our hard racing there. And on the 84, yeah, just aero blocking. And it take really that much skill. I don't know. I avoided the wreck on lap 1, and then it just couldn't pass. It was horrible. If anyone just had any knowledge of aero blocking, you couldn't do anything. And I mean, I think I had the same pace they did. It just I started further back. I mean, they pulled on me at the end, but like you said, I don't need to push really hard. And this is the third place is good after, the horrendous week last week where we got wrecked multiple times. And we're gonna go to Talladega and we're gonna try and take the points lead back and continue these type of runs.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about the points, looking at it right now, you came into this race, I think, what was it, virtually, let's see here.
I believe 9 back from Dalton.
9 back from Dalton. So you come home in third, he's back there at 7th, so that should give you about 4 points or so better than the 77 ride. So yeah, being about 5 points or so back, I think points are going to get really, really tight there with Dalton coming back there in 7th. Obviously, Belton was already, kind of right around there, but you look at Al winning the race, he should be right there with Wicker somewhere around that points lead, or only a point or two back potentially of the 77. You'll be right there. Cogswell with a good run there in 4th. He'll be somewhere around there as well. So points are looking very, very tight, going to be heading into our third race there at Talladega, which is really a super wild card race here in the playoffs. So, how do you feel going into that, knowing that, things could go really well with other drivers in the playoffs having bad runs, but at the same point in time, the big one or a couple big wrecks could take you into the race and put you down pit side for a majority of it in a quick hurry there at Talladega?
I'm not worried about Dega at all. If you go in there worrying, you're just gonna ride and not do anything, and that's gonna be the race where nothing happens. We're gonna do the same approach I do at all super speedways, and I have like an average finish of like 8th there, so we get top 10s, and it's all you can ask for. And I just the points are like 2 back is Al, and I'm 7 back from Dalton. And they just updated, but
Okay, perfect.
yeah, we're gonna continue some momentum here. Momentum got killed last week, so upsetting, but we're gonna go make it through this. We're gonna go win the next 3 races after that, hopefully. But
yeah, absolutely. Trying to get back to your dominating ways and trying to go on another big run here in the series. And obviously still, 4 races left. You're not too many points back there after potentially a solid run, and just trying to survive there at Talladega could definitely be, an outcome that, is favorable for a lot of people in the chat, a lot of your viewers and friends and family that watch and enjoy seeing the 36 ride out there. Honestly, that's the big picture, is trying to win that championship and trying to be there in a position to maybe even just win the championship at Auto Club Speedway in about a month.
with how Auto Club went early in the year, I'm not looking too forward to that. But I mean, the goal is not to just do good at Dega. I want to win that. Like I said, it's been a little bit, I guess, since a win, and I don't know. It just seems like, I don't know, these tracks just don't mesh with me, and they're tracks I either don't race a lot or I don't like. I like Kansas, but the track wasn't just there last week. And Texas, though, that's what I'm eyeing for come here in a bit. I don't know. I think that's after Dega. Yeah, I think so. But that's one I have circled.
Alrighty, well, we'll keep that one in the memory bank for a couple weeks from now. But Gage, heck of a run, heck of a drive here tonight. Obviously, gaining a few points here on the championship battle and having a third-place performance here at Kentucky in the NobleAmerican.com playoffs here this evening, man. Who'd you like to thank for another great run and great performance out there on the racetrack?
You got to thank the league. The league did really good tonight. We didn't see a single caution all night. That's kind of unheard of. In any sim racing. Tom Stacy Tater's Walleye Fish Sandwiches on the car. They look great every week. You got to thank 213 Simware. Like I said, all the guys, all my teammates, they did pretty good tonight. I know Jaden didn't like his night, but I don't think anyone liked this racetrack tonight. And then good Lord above, prayers for the Charlie Kirk family, and we're gonna live on, have a good rest of your week, and hope everyone at home does.
Absolutely, brother. Gage, congrats on the third place finish, brother. We look forward to seeing you back out there on the racetrack at Talladega, and hopefully seeing you right back up here in the broadcast booth, maybe in Victory Lane here at the Super Speedway next Thursday night, man. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you back out there on the racetrack.
Well, it's nap time.
Beauty. I'm right there with you, brother. Enjoy your night and sleep well.
Thanks, man.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher, Gage Wenzel. Gage comes home in position number 3 here this evening, man. What a run, what a drive for that 36 machine as he comes home there in that third spot. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in here this evening. All the likes, the comments, the shares, we appreciate each and every single one of you. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor there. Drop a like on the stream right now. Hit that subscribe button or the follow button if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Make sure you guys follow and subscribe on all those channels. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. And if you guys don't want to miss any of the racing action here on the broadcast, make sure you guys hit that bell notification as well. Make sure you guys turn on those noties so that way you never miss it. And when we go green flag racing here on Peacemaker Game, you don't want to miss a single lap of the amazing action that these drivers put on for us. And we'll be right back up here in the broadcast booth tomorrow night with the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series. So we'll be back up here, putting on another great show, another great race tomorrow evening, and we look forward to hopefully seeing each and every one of you back in the grandstands, cheering those drivers on, or just coming in and cheering your boy on, helping us out, helping the stream out, dropping a like, having a comment or two, and watching for a couple minutes, man, really helps out each and every stream. So hopefully we see you guys back up in the booth here tomorrow for our next broadcast. As Sean says, great job on the announcing. I appreciate that, Sean. I appreciate you, brother, showing the love here in this one. As ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night.
Rubber burning engines screaming, it's a madhouse. Hypershift racing, every driver wild and riled out. Peacemaker broadcast, a crowd tuned in tight, watching steel beasts fight under stadium lights. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Tires spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Tire spinning rhythm, a dangerous ballet. Hypershift gladiators in an asphalt ballet. Drafted on the curves, it's a calculated gamble. One wrong move leaves your dreams dismantled. Crowd roaring, engines roaring, echoes break the sky. Broadcast live for the legends who never fear to fly. Checker flags beckon, it's the road we obey. Adrenaline profits, in the fast lane we stay. Pistons pump like heartbeats, it's mechanical insanity. Hypershift warriors bending physics with calamity. Peacemaker feeds a frenzy to every fan's delight. When the lead's in the zone, it's a glorious fight. Pedal to the floor, we ain't pumping no brakes. Speed demons in the zone, leaving fire in their wake. On the edge of chaos, ain't no room to fake. Peacemaker screens lit for the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take. Time spinning rhythm, a tempo, the glory we take.